Hey, Fan Nation, it's Tuesday night and welcome to The Wrap. My name's Denny Fox, National Tournament Director of AIM Weekend Walleye Series. And this week we were at the Mercury Marine Minnesota State Championship up at Lake of the Woods. Hey, we've got a couple guys on here, first and second place. Let's talk to them and see what they did, and let's talk about the weight that they had out there. So let's talk to first place. I got Hunter and Tony Nitty here with me. Hey, guys, how's it going?
Great. Just
Coming up.
recuperating from the weekend after a couple of rough days on the water. Thank God for our wave pros. So, doing well.
Well, it's always good to have that extra cushion underneath the pushing that you guys had, especially on Saturday morning going out there.
Yeah. Friday afternoon was a rough ride in, but yeah, Saturday morning, especially when we traveled quite a ways, it made all the difference.
Now you guys are uncle and nephew, correct?
Yep.
Who had the throttle in their hand? It wasn't the kid, was it, Tony?
No. Well, no, I just Frankie's live bait actually just dropped my boat off midweek so I could use it. So yeah, I wasn't giving up the throttle that soon.
Yeah, and they have a tendency to be a little bit more durable than, let's say, we would be.
True. Yeah, there's a little bit of age difference here.
Oh, that's right. Sure. That's right. So you're coming fresh off the win, the Minnesota State Championship, the Mercury Marine Minnesota State Championship. And you guys also did something else that is absolutely remarkable. In your first year ever with AIM, you came out, you fished 4 qualifiers, you fished a championship, and you ended up with the Yamaha Motor Corp Team of the Year honors as well out of Lake of the Woods. Tell me, did you guys in your wildest dreams even think that you were going to pull this off the first year?
I figured it was a long shot. I mean, but it was lakes we were familiar with. We fish other circuits, so it was lakes we were familiar with. So I felt confident on the lakes we were going to. But yeah, I mean, being the first year, there's some great anglers out there, so I knew it wasn't going to be easy. Going into the championship, sitting second, I'm like, we got a shot. Just go out there and put the weight up and see what happens. And then to come out with the first place on top of it, that's extra special. That's extra special to do it with this guy.
How old are you now, Hunter?
20.
I like to ask because I like it when you young guys put the boots to the old guys. That's good stuff right there. Yeah, I said old guys because I'm one too. Don't worry about it, Fan Nation. So you guys you threw it against the wall. It stuck. You came away with the honors, the state championship. You said something right there that was people need to hear. And I like to educate people about tournament fishing and what it means in your mindset to be a tournament fisherman. You were comfortable with the lakes you were going to. There's one thing that they always tell us not to do in the tournament world, and that is to fish memories. However, you guys went back to fish memories because you were comfortable with the lake and the timing in which we were on them and places that you had been before. When you put your whole season together, you started on Mille Lacs. Now that I imagine is your home lake, eh?
No, definitely. That's our home lake. We like that lake very much. We got a lot of experience on that lake.
Sure.
Well, I have a cabin. His dad has a cabin. Excuse me. Imagine that. It's his dad.
He's already been on the show and he's trying to get on again.
he's trying to get on the show. Yeah. So no, yeah, it's our home lake. We have cabins there. Of course, my parents own a resort on the lake, Hunters Point. I mean, they're one of our big sponsors, and we give a shout out to them for all the help they give us. They get our bait, they help us with different stuff, and then the guys that we fish with. We kind of call ourselves the Wolf Pack. We work hard, play hard, and we fish hard. And thanks to all those guys, because it makes it a lot easier. We work together in a lot of aspects to figure this stuff out. So it makes it a lot easier.
Well, these lakes are big. There's a lot to break down. So it does take a little bit. You only have so much time. When you work hard, it means you're playing hard in a short time frame in between work. So, showing up to the lake a day or two ahead of time and be able to break it down and find where them fish are hanging is very important. Now, you guys went to Leech Lake. How did you do on Leech Lake when we had our doubler up there?
Well, I'll tell you what, I fished Leech about 6 times in my life, and it's a tough lake. I mean, to understand it, I couldn't really understand it, but I found some walleyes and I grinded on them, and I took a few days to figure them out, and they went. And that first day of the first Leech tournament, I don't know what was going on. I could not get them to go. They would not go. And then the second day or the second tournament, they went, and they just kept going and going, and we got them, and we ended up taking 4th or 5th in that tournament.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out. I couldn't make it. My son was off in a lacrosse tournament, so I couldn't make it. So J.R. Savek stepped in. He's been on the lake a little bit. He actually guides up there, was a big help. So him and Hunter worked it out together. He did have the controls of the boat at that time because I was not there, and did very well.
Yeah, but JR's young. He can take that kind of beating.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's right. He's durable. I seen him fall right off the front end of a boat one time at Bemidji.
He'll love to hear that one.
I'm sure he will. That's just for you, JR.
Yeah.
So we left Leech. You guys, you had one out of the two, so you had a good finish on Mille Lacs. You had a good finish on Leech. Where did you end up at Winnebagosh?
we ended up taking 3rd at Winnebagosh.
Yeah.
And that is a lake that we love to fish. He's been fishing it since he was a little kid, and so have I. And I love to fish that lake.
That was some pretty good weights to win that thing, but you guys stayed tied up real tight to the top, and it gave you a lot of points. It kept you guys in the race at the championship because, as we know, the leaders going into Friday had a sizable lead, and you were literally the only team. You were going to have to win. They were going to have to slide back a little bit, and everything just aligned. You guys ended up making a big jump, like 17-point jump ahead of them, and securing that team of the year.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be hard. I mean, I think we were 26 points behind, I think, going in. And against these anglers, on these bodies of water, that's hard. I mean, Topper and those guys, they performed all year long. And we knew we were going to have to be on our game and put some big weight up to maintain and stay close to whoever was on top, even if it wouldn't have been us, to gain points. And all we did is, we went out there and we grinded, and it wasn't easy. It took us most of the day on day one and all of the day on day two. We didn't have a good fish in the boat until I think noon, and we had lost one before we got our first one.
Oh,
so it made for a kind of a nervous day. I mean, we were starting to get a little at noon. We were starting to get a little nervous and starting to get a little worried when you don't have a big fish in the boat and you're getting towards the end of the day. So.
Well, you guys were real consistent too. The first day you put up 44.86. The second day you put up 43.38. Hunter, you told us something on stage when you were up there. And this is the real grind of tournament fishing, people. Listen to the story that Hunter went through for his teammates and his partner to make this happen. Tell us the whole thing, Hunter.
All right, so pre-fishing, a group of us, we had a bait that was working really, really well. And we actually lost the bait. We broke off, and I didn't know what to do. And one of the other guys had a bait, and they were just catching overs and overs and more overs on it. So
overs are over 28. Yeah.
Yep. And after that day, I knew I had to do something. We only had one more day of pre-fishing, and then it was tournament time. So I drove around all over. I went to War Road. I went anywhere in a 100-mile radius to a bait shop, any place that sold tackle, and I was looking for that bait, and there was no way I was going to find it. I called a few places that sells the bait and see if they could ship it within a day, and they couldn't. And so I drove back to War Road, and I went to a hardware shop, and I bought spray paint. And I started spray painting baits. I was taping them off, and I was spray painting them, and we didn't know if it was going to work or not. Everybody told me it's probably not going to work.
He caught a lot of flack, and everybody, that ain't gonna work. You're crazy. No way. And first fish, next day, pre-fishing was 30 inches. And we videotaped it and sent it to the people that were giving us flack and said, yeah, eat your heart out. So it was pretty awesome.
Hey, Fan Nation, you should have seen it too. When they got off a stage, the other anglers went up to Hunter. They were grabbing his hand to see if they could see what colored paint was stuck underneath his finger.
He did a good job washing up. If it would have come the day before, you would have figured it out.
Oh, yeah.
So were you guys pulling lead core up there like everybody else was?
Yeah, we were mostly pulling lead core. We tried a little bit of everything, but lead core seemed to be working the best.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to tell Fan Nation? Talk about your sponsors, anything. The stage is yours, gentlemen.
First of all, I'd like to thank you, Denny, and the operation you put on. It's fun. The social media aspect. I mean, the interviews. I mean, kind of get you involved even when you're not on the water. That's a lot of fun. Again, I mentioned some already, but a shout out to Lee and Wave Pro. He got me the seats for my new boat. Todd and Frankie's Marine. Midweek they brought me a boat that I had bought. They couldn't get a kicker motor. The 15s are on back order with COVID and all the other stuff. So they threw a 9.9 on it, and he ran it up to me. So shout out to those guys. It was nice I went from a 620 to a 621. So having a little longer boat on that big water is kind of nice.
Yeah. Length is good.
Yeah, absolutely. Ranger boats, Mercury, Hunter's Point. I mean, my parents, they've supported us all along, our whole group, the Wolfpack, my brother, this guy here. It's fun to do it with your nephew. It just a lot of fun. A lot of fun. It was a great experience, and to all the anglers. I mean, hey, it's fun to go out there to compete. Met a lot of new friends this year. We fished the MTT too. We'll be back up on Lake of the Woods in 2 weeks for a championship up there. So
Sure.
Who knows? Maybe we can do it again. Yeah, shout out to all those guys. It's fun to compete against them.
Well, thanks for being on the show, guys. Boy, consistency will get you everywhere in this game, and them back-to-back good baskets, it just takes you right to the top of that 10 grand. But I got second place with me as well tonight. Hey, Jeff Holtz and Andy Hoggy. How you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Good, Denny.
Is it all starting to sink in now? I mean, that was big water. We had big waves up there. Everybody was out there catching big fish. I know everybody's head gets kind of filled up the day of the tournament, and it takes a little bit of a ride home and to really sink in. But how you guys feeling, that 2 days after?
Still riding a little bit of a high. It was enjoyable. I mean, what more could you ask for, I guess, except for first place, which, it was pretty fun leading going into day two. But, we're happy with second.
It's always fun leading a tournament, and but you always have that bullseye on your back, and everybody wants a piece of you at that point. You guys had a very respectable tournament, putting up a total of 86.19 pounds, and you had 51.05 the first day. I know there's some stories attached to it. Andy, can you tell us some stuff about that day?
Pretty amazing. We pre-fished really hard. We had all week to pre-fish, and we never saw 30-inch fish the whole time. So, beat in the tournament, and then going 3-4 hours without catching a fish right away, it starts to test you a little bit. It tests your nerves. You get really nervous out there, and every fish matters that much more. So we put a fish on the card, and then we wheeled back on that pot of fish, and then my rod absolutely doubles over, and I'm pulling it in. I'm starting to feel a little better, and then we lost it. So, we lose a big fish. We know it's big, and to have that start to the tournament really test you, and then to be able to put up 51 pounds after that is pretty crazy, and it's in such a short window. Everything kind of happened from about 11 o'clock to maybe 1:30ish, 2 o'clock, and then it was time to get back. So, it happened in such a short amount of time. It wasn't like 51, over the course of the entire day. It was in a very short window. So things were happening, and it was insane. It was absolutely insane to be a part of it.
And you could tell it too, because Fan Nation's looking at the fish pictures right now as we're talking, and you could see Jeff as they get bigger and bigger, and he's holding it up and laughing more and more every time he's got them fish in his hands. And they were great pictures, and I'm sure they're enjoying them right now. But tell us that real story on Saturday, Andy. Tell us what happened to you.
Yeah. So on Friday, I 31 years without even catching one fish at 30 inches or better. And I finally did it. Finally joined the 30-inch club. It felt awesome. And then maybe a half hour after that, Jeff decides to beat me with a 30 1/4. So I was at the top of the world, and I was brought down a little bit right away. But, I put my bait back in the water, and sure enough, another half hour goes by, and I whacked a 31, and I beat my own personal best. And it was pretty crazy having not one but two of them that day, going that long without ever catching one. So that was a really awesome thing to happen out there.
Yeah, that's very cool. And think about that card, Fan Nation. They had a 30 1/4, a 31. That's how you get to 51 pounds in this thing. But you guys were consistent yet again this weekend. You didn't turn off 250s out there, but you did have another really good basket the next day. And you guys ended up in 5th for Team of the Year overall against these guys. These guys are some real sticks in this game over there. Jeff, what did you guys do all year long that made you more consistent, or as consistent as anybody can be?
I'd like to say hard work. We're out there. I make sure we're on the water by 7 a.m. at the latest, if not earlier. And then we don't come off until 6 or so. So we put in a full day. We started out at Mille Lacs, and we had good pre-fish, and then, we got the wind, and it blew, 30 mile an hour that day on Mille Lacs, and we ended up in 21st, and we were pretty happy with that. And because we're going to Leech Lake, and we absolutely love Leech Lake, and we've done pretty well up there also throughout the years. And we had a pretty bad pre-fish, and day one rolls in, and we zeroed. And so
I remember that.
Oh, no, what did we do there, So we battled back, and I think day two we had a 22nd place finish. So we're sitting all right. We roll into Winnie, and I told him, I said, we need a top 5 in Winnie we need to stick close to the leader, because it's a little different point system. So we rolled out of Winnie with a 5th. So going into Lake of the Woods, I'm like, we need to get to that Warrior Boat national shootout. That was our goal from day one, is to make that shootout. And so I told Andy, I says, if we can get a top 5, then just not even worry about sitting there at 6th, 7th, 8th place or whatever. Just knock it out and get it done, because the last 2 years we've missed that shootout by just a smidge.
Really?
Less than a quarter ounce. We've missed it by 2 years in a row. So I told him, I said, this year, let's just no doubt it and get a 5th and get out of there. And we got lucky. We really did. We got lucky.
Sometimes it's better off just to, what do they say? If it needs to get done, it's good. If it's going to be, it's up to me. Just go get it done.
Yeah. And that's one thing I've always said is, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. You really can't force it, but yet it is what it is. And you take what you can get.
That's right. But you put in the hard work. Fan Nation, you hear what he said, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. I know a lot of you guys quit at 3 o'clock because, them fish aren't, we aren't going to fish them fish at 6 o'clock at night. But you know what the hardest part about all of this is finding them. So once you find them, they're going to be there, or they're going to be someplace close. It doesn't matter if you find them at 8 in the morning or 5 in the afternoon. It gives you that confidence to be able to go back there and be able to catch them fish.
Correct. Yeah. There's times we're getting off the water at 7, 8 o'clock. Just because maybe the next day it's going to rain or blow or whatever, and you just put in them extra hours, and that's just it. If you can find them fish, and especially at Lake of the Woods, because we fish the mud, so we're out finding those fish just out on the mud, just all over the place, and you got to go back every day and find them again, because they're not in the same spot they were when you left them the day before.
Yeah. Yeah. Do they move? Now, Fan Nation, just to kind of clarify things, here's what they talk about on the mud. The whole southern part of the lake is a great big huge basin. Now, I say great big huge, it's ginormous. And it kind of slopes in from the sides and hits about 32 to 35 feet. And it's a soft mud bottom, just like Lake Winnebago or a lot of other Great Lakes areas. And the bottom's carpeted in shiner minnows. And you got Cisco's out there that they're keying on, and perch that they're keying on. And what did you guys do out there fishing wise? How did you fish them?
Well, we pulled lead core, and like you said, it is one big giant bait. You drive for miles and miles, and you look for any little smidgen of difference in the bottom, and it's 33 feet throughout the whole thing. Unless you find, there are rock piles and a few things in there, but there's not a whole lot of difference throughout that whole thing. And so what we would do is it's watching your electronics, and that's the big thing, and side image, and we'd mark them on side image, and it depended on how many there were. If there was 2 or 3 on the screen on side image at a time, you might work that area a little bit harder,
Sure. Now you guys are pulling lead core, so you're running a 50-foot lead to crankbait, I assume?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
I
can never get these guys to say anything, Fan Nation. This must be a ginormous secret they can't share.
No. Not a 50-foot lead. I think we were maybe running 10-foot lead. I played with it before. I think Lake of the Woods is so dirty that it's just best to use a fireline lead. So I use a 10-pound fireline lead. Like I said, about 10 feet. I played with that before. I agree with that 50-foot lead of a fluorocarbon or something if you're in a clear lake like a Mille Lacs or something like that. But Lake of the Woods, it doesn't matter. It's dirty down there. They're just looking for whatever comes by to grab.
Well, exactly. And, talking about lure choices out there and everything, I could say, hey, Andy, what kind of lure did you use? But you know what? Next week, it might not matter, Fan Nation. But, Andy, give me 3 of the kinds of lures you would drag around out there.
Careful out there.
Hey, I'll mute you in a second here, Jeff.
Yeah, I think my connection's getting bad, so I don't know if I'll be able to get that through. But no, like Jeff touched on it. In 2018, we had a good pot of fish, and we go through our waypoints from the last pre-fish day, and they're not there, so they slid out a quarter of a mile. And we go through, and we had a good bag day 1 in 2018, and then the next day, working those same waypoints, they're gone. So those fish moved an entire mile, and maybe it wasn't the same fish, but to get an idea of like how much, work it is to find them again, that's kind of the major thing. And like Jeff said, he's watching his electronics. It's not just, one brand that's outperforming everything. You put everything together. We're using different technology with those electronics to put the whole puzzle together. But, this year was no different. The pods just weren't as big. So there weren't pods of, 20, 30 fish that we were looking for. It was, 5 to 10 fish. They just weren't as concentrated. So the bait choice, it doesn't really make that much of a difference, but just get a big bait and a good color that they like, and just keep wheeling through them. I think that's what Jeff is really good at is, I like a certain color when it's hitting really good on a certain day. So I trust it and I go with it. And Jeff switches it out after the one or 2 passes, and he's always changing stuff. So between the two of us, we have something figured out, I guess.
That's why we have them stacks of Plano boxes full of crankbait. So if your wives or anything out there listening to this, that's why they have them, because you got to change them over and over and over until you hit that right one.
Yeah, he's really good at that. And I'll tip my hat to him. He's the one that's always challenging the color. He's always challenging the bait, always searching for that next bite where I can become a little bit more relaxed. And it makes for a pretty good team, just to be able to have those different qualities, I guess.
Well, exactly. A team that thinks exactly alike and makes all the same moves. Well, you've got one person. A team has to think separately a little bit out there anyways, in order to be able to come up with the keys to be able to do this thing.
Yeah, right. We're 90% of the time we're on the same page, but there are times when we differ in the boat, I should say. And Andy's more of a grinder. I'll let him tell the analogy of and it hit it on the head. He had the analogy in the boat, I think, day one, and we were on those fish, and he's thinking maybe we should leave them alone, and I'm like, no. Let's hit this one out of the park. And that's the analogy Andy had, but I'll let him tell that story.
Yeah. The analogy is back in 98 when, I compared Jeff to Mark McGuire, just always trying to hit that grand slam or that just giant home run. And I'm more like that Ichiro type, trying to just hit singles and doubles and just, let's get as many points as we can. Let's get as much weight as we can. And, he's looking for the win every single time. So we're a little bit different in that regard too.
Well, sometimes you can win, so you go after the win. Other times, as I always say, you need to know where the line's at, where the money's going to start, because that can tell you a lot more about the fish you're catching and what might be able to be caught. Is there anything else you'd like to tell Fan Nation or your friends or family or sponsors or anybody else out there? I love your backdrop, by the way, Jeff. Very artsy.
Yeah. Well, I gotta, you gotta thank Ken Anderson and Shooter and Chuck Barth for producing a great product out there. It's great. There's not a better boat out there. That 2090 we run, we pound it every tournament. We put it through its paces. And it doesn't fail us. So we can't go wrong with Warrior. So with that being said,
you guys have a Yamaha motor on the back of that too, I think.
Right, and that thing is bulletproof. I mean, you hit the key, it starts every day, and it doesn't fail. So speaking of that, we troll with that big motor. So that motor goes on at 7 a.m. and it doesn't come off till we're off the water, and it never misses a beat.
What size is that motor?
That's a 200 Yamaha. So we're a little bit slower than everybody else, but it trolls, I guess, right where you need to troll it to.
It's perfect.
Yeah, I also want to thank Scott and Kim Taggart for letting us use their house up there. That's going to be Luke Bullum's new mother and father-in-law, and next weekend Luke Bullum gets married. So they let us use their cabin for the weekend, and that was awesome.
That's way cool.
Yeah.
Fan Nation, you also know he got a little bit of a birthday present this weekend because it was his birthday on Saturday. His girlfriend drove 7.5 hours to meet him up there. It was a fun weekend. Yeah,
my girlfriend Mandy surprised me at the dock, and that was awesome for her to show up. And KB brought me a little gift pack and some balloons, so that was nice.
Now, cold frescas, I believe they were.
They were cold frescas, correct.
Well, Andy, he's probably not old enough to have anything other than fresca yet. He's kind of young.
Yeah.
Two more people to thank. I want to thank Drake Hurd from Renegade Outdoors. We did buy some baits from him, and he had them shipped right up to us in a little bit, in no time. So Renegade Outdoors was awesome. I was a little behind the ball on it, and I should have had them ordered earlier, and he got them right to us. And the other person that painted our custom baits for us was Mike Larson Quality Jigs. And we brought him some baits. I brought them on the Monday before, and he had them done on Sunday before we left. So I really appreciate his hard work, and they were the key to our victory was his ability, artistic ability.
Artistic ability. We'll go with it.
I mean, I give him a bait and I said, here's what I want. I want it that color. And he nailed it on the head, obviously. So Sweet. All of our fish came off that all but one fish came off that custom painted lure. So
See, and I was on the phone with another gentleman on the way home. I won't mention his name, but he was telling me the same thing about Lake of the Woods. Once you find the color, and it's going to take you a while. Once you find that pattern, once you know what works, it'll probably stick, and that will stick the whole week you're there.
right, and actually it stuck year after year because we found that color in 2018.
Oh wow!
And we ran it all week long, man, and it was spot on. They were eating both hooks.
That's good because they're big fish and they need to stay hooked up.
Right, correct.
Yep. A couple other people to thank. Obviously, our teammates were just, awesome the whole year, but especially Luke Bolam. This week, he was fantastic, just helping us figure everything out. Jake Helsheim came up and, was his spotter. So spotter kid, I think you called him.
Spotter kid.
Yeah, so I got to thank him. Thank Jordan Muzzle for coming up and helping us fish as well. So our teammates were just awesome the whole year through, Shooter and everyone else that helped us out. So definitely, and obviously, Denny, you guys at AIM, we really appreciate you giving us a season to work with this year. Things were not looking great right at the beginning in March and April. So just to be able to fish, I think a lot of us, this is one of the things we look forward to the most of the year. So we really do appreciate you giving us a season to work with and making it happen. So
we love doing it for you guys. It's been a great interview. I'm glad you got a chance to share some time with us. We're going to see you at the national championship next year. That's going to be fun. It's your second one, Jeff. Andy's first. Everybody out there, Neverland, we'll see more of these guys in the future, I'm sure of. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Danny.
Hey, Fan Nation, it's always great talking to them top teams. And since we're a series, we put on 5 tournaments every year in each state. We trace the points. And what we do with them points is we add them up and we find out who the Yamaha Motor Corp USA Team of the Year is going to be. As we've had it in the other states, we've had it here in Minnesota as well. The winner of that wins a beautiful brand new kicker motor, a T99 from Yamaha. And this year, they've been close all year, but they really sealed the deal with the win. This year's Team of the Year in Minnesota is Hunter and Tony Nitty. They had a great year. They put up 752.93 points, which is just a ginormous amount of points. That just means that they did real well and very consistent all year long. With our Team of the Year, we also have a national championship coming up in 2021. So, Fan Nation, this is how these anglers get to it. First of all, we take the top 5 teams from Team of the Year, or from the championship. We take top 5 teams from the championship, and we also take the top 5 teams from the Team of the Year points. If a team gets one of them spots from the state championship and one in team of the year, they're only awarded the one where they placed high at the tournament, at the state championship tournament. And we go down in points. So without further ado, here's the top 5 from the tournament. So we had Hunter and Tony Nitty. Then we had Jeff and Andy, who you just talked to. In third place in the tournament was Chad Bleeker and Jeremy Stoner. They also got a spot into the national championship, as well as fourth place of Brian and Chris Messerschmidt. Fifth place in the championship tournament was Tyler Walden and Nate Leininger. So all 5 of these teams are going to be invited to the national championship in 2021. I also have the top 5 in Team of the Year points. Now remember, they can only get one spot. So who won Team of the Year was Hunter and Tony Nitty. Now they also won, so that spot's open. So we're going to go down to 6th place now. I'm going to keep track over here. You know why? You'll find out why. In 2nd place for Team of the Year and going to the national championship was Randy Topper and Chuck Hassey. In 3rd place for Team of the Year, Tyler Walden and Nate Leininger. They already got a spot, so now I've got 2 more spots in Team of the Year. In 4th place for Team of the Year this year was Brian and Chris Messerschmidt. They took 4th in the tournament. Now I've got 3 more spots to award. And last but not least, in 5th place, we've talked to them, Jeff Holtz and Andy Hoggy. Got 4 more spots to give. So what do? We go down to 6th through 9th. In 6th place for Team of the Year, Ryan Hyland, Chaz Tobias are going to be going back to the national championship. In 7th place, we have the current national champions, Dave and Jake Bonzak. They're going to return to see if they can defend. In 8th place, these guys have been pushing hard, and they really wanted this all year, and it's really good to see that they're going. Scott Schultz and Chris Peters will be going. It'd be great to have them there. And in 9th place for Team of the Year, Devin and Dustin Pavlaki. They'll be going as well. So that rounds out our national championship, 10 teams right there. So Fan Nation, I'd like to thank you for a wonderful year. I'd like to thank each and every one of our sponsors, including Yamaha and Warrior as our presenting sponsor, everybody that made this possible this season. We look forward to seeing you next year. Now, Rap fans, hang in there, because we got a couple more episodes where we're going to bring you more stuff from the anglers. We're going to let some secrets out as we go. We're going to do some shows as the winter comes along. Hang in there with us. We're not done and we're not going anywhere. We're here for your enjoyment. With all that being said, Fan Nation, anglers, sponsors, friends, family, be safe out there. Make sure you take care of yourself in these times. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you next season. So for me, Denny Fox and Jeremy Olson in North Dakota, have a safe off season, a productive hunting season, and we'll see you next spring.